their semifinal wins for the Baylor Bears. First time in 24 years or 24 games that they have defeated the Texas Longhorns. And it was Missouri outlasting Oklahoma State 67-59. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin along with Fran Frischella, former head coach at Manhattan, St. John's, and also New Mexico. Fran, you look at Baylor as like a tale of 3 seasons. They open non-conference 12-2. They open conference play 3-1. And then in the next 12 conference games, they lose 10 ball games. What in the world did they do to flip the switch and all of a sudden they're back during this tournament?
I think if Coach Scott Drew knew the answer, he would have flipped that switch a long time ago. But they've played really good defense in this tournament. They're utilizing some more zone. They've delineated roles in their offense. And you got to like the way Lace Darius Dunn, Curtis Geralds, and Kevin Rogers are handling that offensive load.
Talk about Missouri and their formula, for so to speak.
Well, the fastest 40 minutes in basketball, Mike Anderson says, it's not a system, but it's fast-paced, fundamental basketball. And he's right, Ron. They average over 80 points a game. They turn it over only 11 times a game, but they can sure turn over the opponent and turn it into easy offense.
Take us through the Star Watch.
Everybody knows about Baylor's outstanding guards, but in this tournament, Kevin Rogers, the 6'9 senior, has been a force down low. And for Missouri, Damari Carroll, one of the finest players in this league, and an academic all-conference player as well.
And let's take a look at the starting lineups. First of all, for the Baylor Bears, they will start with 3 guards, and they are Tweety Carter, Curtis Geralds, and Lace Darius Dunn. Up front, Kevin Rogers and Josh Lomers. Rogers has had an outstanding tournament so far. Now, how about the Missouri Tigers? They, too, will start with 3 guards, J.T. Tiller, Zaire Taylor, and Matt Lawrence. And inside, Damari Carroll, the heart and soul of this ball club, along with Leo Lyons. They have 27 wins on the year and only 6 losses. And here you look at the Missouri scoring and how it's really bunched up and how everybody shares.
It fits in, Ron, because it's a 5-man motion, and you'll notice all 5 players will handle the ball on good half-court possessions for Missouri.
Mike Anderson, the head coach, his 3rd year at Missouri, a record of 61 wins and 34 losses. And at the other end of the floor is Scott Drew, the head coach for the Baylor Bears. And they have had a lot of firsts throughout this tournament. As I said, it had been 24 times straight that Texas had beaten them. They beat them by 6 points yesterday. And then the win over Kansas. That got everybody's attention the day before. As you look at Damari Carroll, the officials, Tom O'Neill is the referee. Curtis Shaw and John Higgins are the umpires. Lomers will jump it up against Lyons, and it's going to be the Baylor Bears on the offense first.
Tweety Carter, Ron, has really done a good job of running the offense as a playmaker, and this is the all-time leading scorer in high school basketball in America. Baylor has gone to a motion offense with a lot of touches in this last part of the season.
Baylor has gotten off to a pretty quick start in every game they've had here in the tournament as Rogers misses the tip, and it comes down to the Missouri Tigers. Now, this is what I'm anxious to see, what defense the Bears come up with.
Well, it looked to me that they ran back to the zone. It's a great point because that allows Josh Lomers to anchor the middle and not chase Carroll and Lyons on the perimeter. There it is, 2-3 zone.
Well, they shocked everybody in the Kansas game. They came out in the zone. They stayed in the zone. And everybody thought, well, it's not going to work for a full 40 minutes. And by golly, it did. Yep.
The odds were against them, but Kansas did not make enough jump shots.
Zaire Taylor, jump stop, kisses it off the glass, not there. And on the follow, Damari Carroll was about to put it back up, but he traveled.
Well, the other interesting thing in this tournament is Baylor has out-rebounded its opponents by 9 rebounds a game, very much unlike them. They had an even rebound margin throughout the course of the regular season.
Fran, we'll talk about it all game long, but let's kind of set up, as you see, J.T. Tiller going against Carter. this pressure, it may not work in the first 10 or 15 minutes, but as you start getting close to halftime and then into the second half, it really starts to take its toll.
Yes, Mike Anderson calls it wear and tear. We call it the cumulative effect of pressure. They play 10 guys. They don't necessarily get a lot out of the press early, but as the opponent wears out, Ron, then you look for them to be really effective with that press.
But the interesting thing was just a really emotional and tiring game between Oklahoma State and Oklahoma night before last as Rogers gets this follow to go. And you could tell in the second half, besides an injury, that, they got tired. Oklahoma State just simply started to wear out.
Yep, they missed their first 14 threes. You remember what I said? A lot of those came up short.
Gerald's off the mark.
This is Baylor's fourth game, Ron, in 4 days, and that may also play a big role.
Matt Lawrence, not there, bounces off the top of the glass. I'll tell you, though, how many you miss in the beginning of a ball game. If you had seen the Texas Tech and Texas A&M game, you would understand that really doesn't matter sometimes. Texas Tech was 0 for their first 10 shots and down by, 22 points?
They got down, that's right.
It came back and won the ball game.
Rogers picked up that foul, Ron, but take a look at this. Rogers early trying to establish himself down low, the senior from South Oak Cliff High School in Dallas. There's that zone again. Well, Matt Lawrence has been red hot over the last 19 or 20 ball games. About 46%. Keep your eye on number 33.
That one unlucky, in and out. Rebounded, Carroll. Not there, and is taken away by the Baylor Bears. Block. Zaire Taylor, wasn't it?
Looked like it. Outstanding defensive guard.
Carroll pulls up. Missed the shot on the floor. Leo Lyons will hustle it down.
Missouri's got 3 or 4 hustle rebounds early. And they speak to the fact that they may have fresher legs.
Taylor.
Boy, how good has he been in this tournament, Ron? About 14 points a game. A transfer from Delaware. What a fit he's been.
He not only gets it done as far as playing defense and also his offense, as far as rebounding. He's only 6'4", but he had, 17 against Georgia? He had 15 against Oklahoma State this year. Lomer.
Well, that's not bad. He shoots 69%. The big fella from Fernie, Texas, so if you get it that deep to him, he knows what to do with it.
Tiller. No. Ball is knocked out of Carter's hands. And the Bears will push it back up. Carter. And Twitty will take a 3. Too hard off the back iron. Lomers got the rebound, and he traveled. First turnover against the Baylor Bears.
Well, the big fella there trying to gather himself. He might have been better suited to just kick it back out to that three-point line, but what an effort.
Missouri, 1 of their first 8. 0 for 2 on three-point try.
I think they're shooting the ball a little too quickly right now, Ron. They're more effective when everybody touches the ball in the half court.
Brad, you have to know this because of the years that you spent as a coach. Both of these teams are so excited to be here. Nobody thought they would be here, particularly Baylor.
Well, I think you're right. And Baylor knows what's at stake. Missouri already knows they're in.
Taylor. Yeah, the first time in Big 12 conference history that 3 of the top 4 seeds did not make it to the next round of the tournament.
And we saw great play from Oklahoma State and Baylor, 2 teams that played with desperation early in this tournament.
Gerald's back to Carter. A little bit short. Gerald's. Got it.
That's the thing you're concerned about with if you're Mike Anderson. Baylor's guards can really heat up.
So we'll take a timeout. 7-5 Baylor. 15-13 left in his opening half. Welcome back to the Ford Center. Time to bring in the third member of our broadcast team, Holly Rowe. And Holly, both in Oklahoma and Texas, we've had drought. And I understand you're talking about shutting off the water. Does this have anything to do with basketball?
Well, believe me, it does. Missouri is known for their pressure defense, but there is a method to their mayhem. Their player, Matt Lawrence, told me they focus each game on shutting off the water. And here's what they mean by that. The best player on the other team that feeds everyone else. They did it last night with Byron Eaton. Willie Warren had his utilities shut off when he had just 3 of 11 shooting. Even the steady Sharon Collins struggled. Guys, tonight the water is Curtis Gerald, Baylor's point guard. Now, guys, they will try to get in his face, really disrupt his shooting. They found out that when they turn off the water, everything else runs dry. But Gerald's just had a pretty nice 3. The tap may be open at least.
Okay, Holly. Well, JT Tiller is normally the guy who does the shutting off the water.
Yeah, but to start this game, Damari Carroll has guarded Charles, and that's because Baylor has 3 outstanding offensive players on that perimeter.
Henry Dugat into the lineup, number 5, senior out of Dayton, Texas.
And this is a very guard-oriented Baylor team. You see they're staying in that zone.
Nice ball movement. Matt Lawrence, in and out, unlucky on that one.
Well, how about the presence of Lomers, and then we'll see Mamadou Dieng at 7-1 come into the game as well.
You know, you have to say that these 2 guys as a combo, Lomers and Dieng, have really been 2 of the real keys of their success here.
Well, they've done a good job of closing off the lane, Ron, something that really was an Achilles heel for Baylor's defense earlier in the season. And you see Tiller back on Dugat at the moment.
5 seconds, down to 4. Gerald gets it in the middle. Rogers in time, and he swishes an 8-footer.
Well, that was excellent patience. We talk about Baylor's improvement. We mentioned the defensive end. You see how well they've started to move the basketball.
By the way, Baylor, 5 of their first 9 points are on second chance points. Neil Lyons gets it up over Lomers and scores. That's a tough basket. Lomers doesn't play for great lengths of time, nor does Mamadou Dieng. While at the other end, Tweety Carter comes up with the layup.
Tweety Carter, Baylor's first McDonald's All-American. If you can believe this, Ron, he scored 7,400 points in 6 varsity seasons in Louisiana, reserve Christian.
Too hard off the back iron, and so far, Damari Carroll and Lyons a little bit frigid.
They're playing a little too fast, Ron. They usually move the ball much better than they have early. You see now Carroll guarding Dugat. And Lawrence is guarding Lomers because he's not a threat offensively.
Bouncer inside to Rogers, and the lefty turns around, and that jump hook is absolutely magnificent, and it has worked well during this tournament. He's got 6.
Ron, if the guard scoring is the fastball, Rogers scoring inside is the curveball.
The shooter's roll there by Carroll.
And Curtis Shaw has just told Leo Lyons, let that ball go. Now, didn't give him a delay of game warning. The reason he hit that ball on it allows Missouri to set up their press.
So Lyons goes to the bench to get a breather. And Denman comes into the lineup. Marcus Weir's number 12, a freshman out of Kansas City.
And you'll see 10 players play 10 minutes or more for Mike Anderson. It's part of the fastest 40 minutes they talk about.
Also, Kim English, an outstanding freshman. He's out of Baltimore. Into the lineup. Dunn on the follow. Couldn't get it to go. Then was knocked out of bounds by Carroll of Missouri.
Missouri's bench, Ron, will play about 38% of the minutes. And that's where Mike Anderson feels in the second half of games they can really take its toll on Baylor, who's playing its 4th game in 4 nights.
The young man that you saw just a moment ago sitting on the bench and encouraging his teammates is Mike Anderson Jr. was on this ball club. He's a senior. Damari Carroll. Too hard off the back iron. Numbers for Baylor. Mamadou Gien into the ball game, number 15. Hard to miss him at 7-1. Gunn.
That's strong.
Gonna score against Denman, and he'll go to the line.
Darius Gunn, Ron. The J hasn't gone, but he's got that strength and ball handling ability to get in traffic and absorb a bump and use the rim.
Baylor 15-9, and do not forget, championship week continues on ESPN tonight. And how about this with number 20, Syracuse, the overtime Orange, taking on number 5 Louisville. Of course, that's for the Big East championship. And can Syracuse win it with another overtime game tonight?
Well, I think Jim Boeheim is hoping for no overtime. But if that's how they have to win it, Ron, they've shown the intestinal fortitude in order to be able to get it done.
I couldn't believe that they won yesterday after such a tiring game the night before with the 6 overtimes, and they won that one in overtime.
Well, they did. And you know, you've heard me talk all year long about Johnny Flynn, young man who I had a chance to coach last summer at the LeBron James Skills Academy, and there's not a more competitive guy in the country. And hey, he's done it on the biggest stage, Madison Square Garden, this weekend.
Yeah, that was interesting. We finished up our work here, and
we thought we were going to bed early.
Normally I do, but I'll tell you, there was no way getting away from that one. That was fun. So the three-point play is completed. Marcus Denman is the man who picked up that foul.
And this 2-3 zone, Ron, has kept Missouri from getting anything in terms of dribble penetration to the lane, and they're relying just on jump shots. See, I think you got to attack the middle, right in the middle, right there. You saw Damari Carroll. Attack this zone in the middle or from behind it. There it is.
Ramsey, shot clock is down to 3, down to 2, and Kim English off the mark with over a fresh 35 seconds as Denman came up with the loose ball.
See, the thing that's happened to Missouri right now, they're not making jump shots, so the perimeter guys are having trouble squeezing the trigger.
Kim English again.
Yeah, not Tim.
Not him.
Not Tim English.
Boy, he is what has been labeled as a basketball junkie, and I know you've heard the story, but he wanted to sleep in the gym when he first got there so he wouldn't have to walk back and forth from his room. As at the other end of the floor, Darius Gunn.
Boy, can he fill it up. 91 threes on the season.
It's 38% from beyond the arc.
See, I like the fact that you go through the middle or short corner, and then you can play from inside out. You'll get open looks. Right now, a lot of contested jump shots by the guys in white.
Tiller, quick turnaround. Just a little too hard off the back iron. You got against Tiller. Gerald, who traveled. Mamadou had moved in front of it, had no place to go. Holly Rowe, what do you got for us?
Well, you guys are talking about all those minutes the Syracuse players have played. Well, these Baylor players, 3 of their starters have played over 100 minutes themselves in the last 3 days. I spoke with their coach, Scott Drew, and he said, you know, fatigue is not an option at this point. They're playing to save their season and save their lives. Their strength and conditioning coach said he's been trying to get each player to drink about 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons of water in the last 2 days, and they've had to consume over 1,000 grams of carbohydrates to get that energy back. I'm like, that sounds like a drink diet, guys. 1,000 grams of carbs.
That's why those strength coaches get paid.
John Hollywood, when you were just finishing your report, the ladies basketball team just came in from the arena next door. They were playing a semifinal game, and there you see them coming in. So a standing ovation from the Baylor faithful, and Kim Mulkey, I'm sure, is in the middle of that group. In fact, I see her coming down the steps right now. There's Kim. And the way she's smiling, I have a feeling that they have advanced to the finals. We don't know officially.
Texas A&M, I'm sure they did, Ron. We don't have anything.
They just told us that, yes, that's true.
Yep.
That is correct.
That's a great basketball league on the women's side, that's for sure. Oklahoma got beat today.
That's going to be a held ball. Possession arrow says, let's go back the other direction.
And just one more aside. If you haven't seen Kim Mulkey coach her team in games or practice, let me tell you, she could coach anybody at any level. She is that good.
I agree with you. Men included. I'm telling you.
No doubt.
We went to the same regional in Tucson. Fran and myself and our crew, and Baylor was out there. English puts up a tough shot, and that may be the second foul on GM. It is. But we commented as they set up for the free throw. She was the only coach I had seen in an NCAA tournament that instead of using the 60 minutes to just kind of walk through and have a little window dressing,
no such thing.
They were dropping the ball on the floor and working on transition for 45 minutes.
She's going to like the last couple of possessions of Missouri's zone offense, Ron, because they've started to get the ball into the middle. And when you do that, a lot of times you can sneak from a weak side into the middle without the defense knowing you're coming.
So it's going to be Baylor basketball, lane violation. So our score, if you just joined us, 19-15. 9:15 remaining in the opening half. Carter thought that Rogers was going to break down the baseline on the play, and he did not even make contact with it. So turnover number 3 on the Baylor Bears this afternoon. Lacedarius Dunn will go to the bench and get a breather. And Lomers comes back into the lineup with GM picking up his second quick foul.
See how good that is, Ron? You get that ball into Lyons inside. It opens it up again.
J.T. Tiller, not only can he play defense, he can fill it up when you leave him alone. Lob pass that's going to be a foul on Lyons. The first on him. Let's go back inside the play on that last play, Fran.
Watch this, Ron. Watch how Missouri gets the ball to the middle of the floor, and you see that opens up the weak side. And now the closeout comes, but Tiller able to use that dribble to get into the lane.
Well, a timeout signal for by Tweety Carter, and we'll take it with him. 19-17. Here come the Tigers. Sunday on ESPN starts at 6 Eastern.
And the last I checked at noon today, Ron, Joe Lunardi had Maryland in, San Diego State in, Creighton and St. Mary's as the last 4 in. But the problem with that is it'll change about 5 more times before tomorrow, guarantee you.
Hey, listen, think about this. I don't want you to answer it right now. Gerald's misses and the ball knocked out of bounds. What if this tournament, if Baylor were to win here this afternoon, what if this tournament was on Sunday until 4 in the afternoon as it has been? What in the world would the committee have done?
More, depending on teams that steal bids. And we saw Cleveland State steal a bid from somebody when they knocked out Butler the other night.
3 points, Miguel Palma. He's been playing a lot more, and he's been burning the silk.
Well, he has, and I think what Mike Anderson is going to like is much better ball movement and patience versus the zone. And it energizes your defense when you start to score some baskets.
Missouri, an 8-0 run, and they are on top. Lomers got banged pretty hard, did not even draw iron on that one. Here come the Tigers back on the run. Paul across courts it. Lyons. English.
That was 8 passes, Ron. From the time they got the ball over midcourt in transition, I counted 8 or 9 passes. That's the kind of ball movement they need.
Tweety Carter got bumped as he was about to take the shot. He will, when we are coming back, go to the free throw line for a couple. When we come back, we'll review what's happening in the Pac-10. Tigers right now on top. Mr. Burr, you were marvelous. Our situation, 23-19. And the stats right now in this ballgame are just about as close as you can get them. Each with 13 rebounds, both shooting 38.1%. Turnovers and assists virtually the same. And well, there's a miss on that second free throw by Carter. So we got a 3-point ball game. 12 of Missouri's 14 points have come in the last 3 minutes and 54 seconds. Lions driving the lane right there. And I'll get Fran to explain exactly what he has said the last couple of days about Missouri and when you are trailing them or when you are ahead of them, the difference with their style of play, and it's a different number.
You're right, Ron. They really wear you down. Of course, they play that style for a reason. Good hands.
Oh, that was English, the young freshman. He already has 2 threes. Nice no-look pass. And the benefactor on that one was Keith Ramsey, a junior out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Said to be the best post defender on the ball club. He certainly ran that offensive play to perfection.
The beauty of that play is they play fast, but they make great decisions.
Carter for 3.
Tweedy Carter's a guy that sacrificed some offense for some more playmaking, but he can certainly fill it up. 39% from behind the arc.
Ball for 3, not there. And a nice job by Rogers to reach out with that long wingspan and tip it back to himself.
Gerald's has that one basket early, Ron, and Missouri's done a good job, again, of keeping him in check. 5 points in that last meeting. 9 turnovers. This shows you about Missouri. You got Lions out here guarding him. Their big guys really move their feet well.
Shot clock is at 8. Falling away. Gerald's, he got it. It's a 2-pointer, but that was tough. Having that larger man outside, hawking him, and then jumping and having a very tall arm in front of you.
Yep. Let's watch that ball movement now. Much better.
Well, he threw that, but that's the smartest thing he could have done. He threw it right off Romer's ankle. So we got 16 seconds to shoot. Coming in the ball game for the first time is Justin Safford. He really has had a very, very good tournament.
He has. He's been a very underrated player for Mike Anderson all year, Ron. Very energetic, good rebounder, runs, and he's 11 of 17 from behind the arc.
Interesting that he was the only scholarship player year before last. 7 of Mike Anderson's kids were taken this past year, but that's the way the numbers went.
And that was part of the problem in rebuilding this program. He had a lot of guys left over from Quinn Snyder's regime that couldn't play this style.
3-second violation. We were just talking about the young man, and he was enjoying being in the paint there a little too long, and John Higgins said, nope, lane violation.
This team was 16, and there's a quick hands by Tiller. Tiller averages 6 deflections a game, Ron, and even though it's not a turnover, it's very disruptive because right now you have the spot throw in, and look at Carroll on the ball.
Carroll, a very nice story. All-conference as a player, All-American as an academic.
And his uncle's the coach. His mother's brother, Uncle Mike Anderson, he started Vanderbilt for Kevin Stallings and felt he could play at a high level, and that's why he didn't go to UAB, but transferred to Missouri a couple of years ago. What a player.
Shot clock down to 7. Carter way outside, too hard off the back iron, tried to tip it in, and the GM very fortunate he didn't pick up his 3rd foul right there. On the run. Too far underneath. GM battles for the ball again.
Wow, I'm surprised.
And JT Tiller is going to be called for the foul.
You know, that was just a good hustle play now. Take a look at this. JT Tiller, we talked about what a good defender he is. That's his first foul, but let's see if he grabbed his leg. Yep, he tried for the takedown. And
Johnny Higgins was right there.
Those guys.
He could see what everybody else couldn't see.
Well, he could see what I couldn't see, and he got it right.
Like he was about to start a form tackle with that arm.
There's another deflection.
Tiller, and he saved it at the other end. Quick pass, Carroll scores, and this is what he is best at, and that is making you bang him in an opportunity to make it 3.
Junkyard Dogs, Ron. It starts with JT Tiller. We've talked about this all year. The heart and soul of this team are Tiller and Carroll. And look at that. You are exactly right. He takes the contact, and Damari Carroll's going to get a chance for 3.
That means that GM's going to have to go to the bench. That's 3 fouls on him. We won't see him for the next 4-10. And JT Tiller will get a breather. You watch Missouri all year, Ron, and we have. And Taylor and Tiller are one of the most underrated backcourts in the country. But because they play at Missouri and they've really just come out of the shadows in the last 6 weeks of the season, people are starting to discover how good they are.
It's amazing when you look. I mean, my goodness, they have 27 wins.
Yeah, I know it. They happen to reside in Columbia, Missouri, and you can't get a writer from New York or L.A.
to go out
there unless it's by accident.
5 on the shot clock, down to 4. Got it off in time, and he went. Who got it?
This is a guy that had missed 22 straight threes until yesterday.
That's interesting. I just happened to look up there. That makes it a 1-point ball game. And Kim Mulkey, the head basketball coach for the women, got up and was whistling through her teeth, saying, "Congratulations, Dugat." Let's take a break. 1-point game, Missouri. Okay, we look forward to that, Ryan. 29-28 our score. Missouri leading by 1 for the Big 12 championship. 2 ball clubs that were not really highly thought of to make it to this Saturday afternoon ball game. And 2 teams that want desperately to win this crown.
Go back to the regular preseason. Missouri was picked 7th in the coaches' poll. They had a great run.
Actually, Baylor was preseason picked ahead of Missouri by a pretty good margin.
Tied for 3rd with Kansas. Oklahoma 1, Texas 2.
Safford lobs it inside Carroll. Got good position and in the reach in, and the foul is going to be against Darius Dunn. Well, championship week continues on ESPN tomorrow afternoon as number 22, Florida State, is going to take on number 8, the Duke Blue Devils. That's for the ACC Championship. ACC Championship, a part of Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN tomorrow, 1 o'clock. And don't forget, those championships are subject to blackout in ACC markets.
Seminoles, Ron, may have beaten Carolina today. Carolina did not play with Ty Lawson, did not play, but that's a very good Leonard Hamilton coach club led by Tony Douglas, the 5th-year senior.
They really are a good ball club.
They play hard.
You cannot blame Roy Williams. I wouldn't play him right now either. I mean, they know they're there. They know they're a number 1 draft. The number 1 choice.
Yep. And they got bigger fish to fry next week. And
they can't fry as many as they'd like without him.
That's very true. Little zone now by Missouri. It's more of a matchup zone. It's not a passive zone. They put pressure on the basketball. You see how those guards extend.
2 seconds down to 1. He got it off and they score. That is twice with the clock running with 1 second left that Baylor has come up with points.
Well, the problem when you extend the zone like that is you are susceptible to dribble penetration. Take a look here. Instead of it being passive, when you come way out on the floor and play like it's man-to-man, it allows you to get into the lane easier, and especially someone with the driving ability of Gerald's.
So that's 2 fouls on Kevin Rogers.
Now, if you're Scott Drew, I somehow would probably want to get Kevin Rogers out of the game right now. You're only down 2. You're going to need the big guy in the second half.
17 fouls against the Bears, only 4 against the Tigers of Missouri. Long pass. Looked as though they were going to have a 2-on-1 break for the Bears, but nice job of getting back in time, particularly by Damari Carroll.
Got 4 shooters out there against that zone, Ron, so ball movement is critical.
Along the baseline, back out on top to Dugat, and he will finger roll the ball and score it.
And that's a guy that might be the Bears' best athlete. He's got a 40-inch vertical jump. The jump shots haven't been falling in the last month, but he still has great gracefulness on those drives to the rim.
Safford, that's going to be the first foul on him.
Oh, that's good. You see how that ball movement stretches the defense and it opens up the drive.
My favorite expression is a lot of times when you throw the same kind of defense, be it pressure or zone at the other team, it's like tailgating the tailgater. Well, so far, Baylor has handled that extremely well.
That's a great point. Obviously, they've worked on using the zone the last few days.
Mag Lawrence. Keep an eye, and you better keep somebody close to him.
He's a guy that a lot of people didn't think would fit into Mike Anderson's style of play, but because he's a high IQ guy and they move the ball so well, he's perfect, particularly offensively.
5 threes against K-State, 5 threes against Oklahoma State.
Quick hands by Damari Carroll once again.
Taylor at the other end, got it off to Safford. This is a 2. Not there. Carroll hustles for it and saves it.
That play is emblematic of what Damari Carroll means to the Tigers. It's not just his flashy scoring. He is a great team leader, Ron, the 5th-year senior. Lawrence was ready to pull the trigger, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. But you know what? He does have it. He should have a shooter's mentality.
Yes, he should.
He's so capable of knocking down threes in bunches. Stolen by the Baylor Bears. Nice job there. Darius Dunn. That foul is on Damari Carroll. Team foul number 6. Only the first on Damari.
Quick hands right here. You see they tried to post up Carroll against a smaller Dunn, but he came up with the loose ball. And then a little loose change foul there by Taylor. Well, we need a great shot right here. Probably I wouldn't have shot it that quickly. Yep. So one pass and a shot, they could have got that same shot, or better if they moved the ball.
Boy, Rogers.
That's his 3rd, isn't it?
Yeah, let's double check. That's 3 on him. Yep. And GN is already on the bench with 3. And then only 2 other people have fouls. Darius Dunn has 1, and Tweety Carter.
For most coaches, the strategy is obvious. If you get a guy with 2 and you're within striking distance at the end of the half, you get him out because you know you got to play him in the second half. Rogers, on the other hand, is a senior, so he's got to know that he can't attack the offensive glass as ferociously with 2, especially at the end of the half.
So the Missouri Tigers with a 4-point margin, 25 seconds showing on the clock. That's what we have left until intermission.
See, they're actually in a zone right now. They're just extending it.
13 seconds, down to 12.
Just switch that.
Gerald's long 3, and he put up an air ball. Lyons trying to get out and get off a long shot. And he just threw it over the top of the glass. So we are at halftime in a first half that has been well played, well coached, and well officiated. 4-point margin. And let's go to Holly Rowe. Holly.
Well, Scott, Kevin Rogers had those 2 fouls. What had you have him out there on the floor to pick up number 3?
Well, we were trying to get him out, and we weren't able to, and obviously we didn't want to pick up that 3rd right there, but he's a veteran, and hopefully he'll be fine.
You guys were worried about fatigue coming into this. How would you assess your energy in this first half?
We were very good early on, then we got a little sluggish after that, but we got no time to be tired now.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Okay, Holly, 37-33. Missouri leads it. Now let's join Ryan Burr and Steve Lavin with the Cisco halftime report. Gentlemen, City at the Ford Center, and it's 37-33. Missouri leading Baylor. Time now to go inside the play. And Fran Fraschilla, what are we going to be taking a look at here?
I thought early in the game, Ron, Missouri uncharacteristically impatient. Ball movement got better, and they shot a higher percentage. Take a look. This is in transition. Count the number of passes Missouri has. They move that zone side to side, and as they do that, stretch the defense, they wind up getting a jump shot, and they made 5 of 10 from behind the arc in that first half.
Okay, Fran, well, that was the Arby's inside the play, and now let's take a look at our Guinness first half stats.
Anytime you talk about Missouri, you got to talk about points off turnovers. They average almost 30 a game. They've got 12 so far. Baylor's going to have to limit that number if they're to stay in this ball game.
Well, much of the conversation that I heard at halftime, the 3 fouls on Rogers, and the fact that, boy, they were trying to get him out of the ball game, but they did not. With 29 seconds left in the half, he picked up number 3. Stolen. Taylor off to Carroll.
We've seen this before.
Points off turnovers.
Yep.
It is an incredible number by this Tiger ball club.
And especially, Ron, in the second half where Missouri's pressured now. Mike Anderson calls it wear and tear. And take a look at the eyes of J.T. Tiller guarding Curtis Geralds right now.
It's 5 steals on the part of Missouri, Fran. Lomas was being held by Carroll. And Holly Rowe, let's check in with you. What do you got for us?
Well, Fran, you're right. Wear and tear was my discussion with Mike Anderson at halftime of Missouri. He said, you know, we have got to attack more. There's a soft spot inside in that zone that we can attack and be better at, particularly with Kevin Rogers now with his 3rd foul. He said our bench was good. We got in a good rhythm offensively, but we've got to be more aggressive defensively. He said, hey, they're only playing 6 guys. This is where we can really make that wear and tear pay off.
Well, that 3-pointer is off the mark. Very, very short. They lace Darius Dunn.
See that ball movement much better now against the zone, Ron. And you keep your eye in the middle of the lane, and that's where they want to go with that basketball. He's right there.
Carroll couldn't get it. Tipped by Lyons, wouldn't go. Some observers who are part of the group with the Missouri Tigers thought that Leo Lyons was very tight when he started the ball game. We said the same thing over here.
Well, Leo Lyons is a young man that was recruited by schools like Kentucky, and he almost went there to play for Tubby Smith. His mom convinced him to stay close to home, and he only averaged about 2 points a game as a freshman, Ron. He had a lot of trouble with Mike Anderson's disciplinarian system, but he has bought in the last couple of years.
Zaire Taylor just picked up his 2nd foul. Eight points for Geralds now.
3rd team all Big 12, and he had 30 points, a career high in that first Baylor game in Columbia.
So that makes it a 4-point Missouri Tiger lead.
This is striking distance for Baylor, Ron, because we've seen them get hot from behind the arc. Got to locate where Lawrence is. He's the great shooter.
Shot clock is now under 10. Got a man open inside. Carroll, not Carroll, but Leo Lyons walked before he could put the ball on the floor. 6 turnovers against the Tigers.
Oh, they got him in transition if they want it.
Numbers, and they're going to miss the shot, and Lomers knocked it out of bounds.
They did an interesting thing right there. They threw it over the top of the Missouri press, and it really wasn't a numbers break. It was more 3-on-3. Dunn was able to get to the rim, but Lomers couldn't finish.
Curtis Geralds, a couple of words for Lomers as he went by saying, hey, what are you doing? You know, grab the ball. Don't let that thing go out of bounds.
See, normally Missouri can dribble into the paint, Ron, against man-to-man. But because you can't do that against the zone, that's exactly where the ball needs to go. Pass it to the middle. Attack the middle of that zone.
13 points, Damari Carroll. 17 and a half minutes left in our championship for the Big 12. Nice drive to the hoop and did everything to get it to go down. And Lomas, the ball was tied up. Possession arrow says, let's take it the other direction.
And go back to the other end, Ron. Keep your eye on Damari Carroll right now. Right in the middle of that zone. So you can't attack a zone as easily with the dribble penetration. So you want to pass that ball in the middle and let Damari Carroll make good decisions.
Lomers goes to the bench. He'll get a breather. Now, the combination has been that Mamadou Gien would come into the ball game, the 7-1 center, and he has just done so, but he has got to be extremely careful. He's playing with 3 fouls right now.
You know, if you're Scott Drew and it's the final game of your season, you just throw caution to the wind. And so Mamadou and Rogers have got to play very intelligently now.
Nice skip pass. Lawrence. Matt Lawrence. I said he had 5 against K-State, had 5 threes against Oklahoma State. He's got 2 in the afternoon, so you got to always keep an eye on him.
And he was the byproduct. That basket was the byproduct right there of great ball movement. We mentioned how well Missouri has started to move the basketball. Take a look at this. Watch it go side to side. And they'll attack the weak side. Look how many touches they get. That's a lot of touches.
And then finally with the skip pass, is that the first free throw is no good. And Zaire Taylor with 3 fouls has had to go to the bench. And coming in is Denman. Missed it and saved by Matt Lawrence.
He's down.
He fell into photographer's row there, and I don't know if he came down on someone's tennis shoe or what, but it sure did look as though he... Let's see if he turns his ankle here. Coming down right there, where his right foot is just out of the picture, but his leg buckled after the foot came down.
I'll tell you why. It was great hustle, too, because they came up with the possession of the basketball.
Lawrence inside.
Great dish by J.T. Tiller once again. And here comes that pressure.
46-35. Biggest lead of the ball game. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with more from Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, as we had talked about off the top of the telecast. 46-35. It's now an 11-point margin. And just what Missouri is good at doing. Here are the numbers to back it up.
Well, they were tied at the half with Texas Tech. They won by 21. They were down 2 to Oklahoma State. They won by 10. And you see the numbers right now. They're a +7 on Baylor run, and it's because of the way they play. They run 10 guys in and out. They try to wear you down, and they really try to utilize their bench in the second half of games and make it pay off with the easy offense.
Baylor's got to start picking up some field goals. It goes without saying. The last one that they scored, Fran, was at the 154 mark of the first half. And we have just gone over 4 minutes here in the second half. Saved it. Rogers back in the ball game. Missed the shot and taken down by Leo Lyons. Tipped and stolen. And I think Carroll will pick up the foul. That is his second. Little bit of a frustration foul. 15:36 left in our championship. We'll be right back. 25, the Missouri Tigers on top. You know, across the street from the Ford Center is the Cox Center, the site of the Women's Big 12 Championship. It used to be called the Marriott, and 11 years ago, Valpo Bryce Drew hit one of the most memorable shots in NCAA history. This sent Ole Miss home from the tournament. And on Tuesday, Scott Drew, Bryce's brother, took his Baylor team to that spot to show them that anything can happen. So far this week, the Baylor Bears have gotten the message.
And I know that game broke your heart as an Ole Miss grad, and one of Ole Miss's great teams, Rob Evans and Michael White, the point guard, Keith Carter, Ansu Cisse.
That's one of those where you thought, you know, this has been a tough game, well-played game, but, you know, our team is going to advance. And then it just broke everybody's heart.
You know, and how about Homer Drew, Scott's dad, 600 wins this season. Still coaching at Valpo.
Mamadou, GN.
Nice basket, good interior passing. Amadou Dieng has graduated, and he played a game on December 20th on the day of his graduation against UT Arlington.
Leo Lyons. I don't think he's playing tight right now.
No, that's what makes Lyons and Carroll so dangerous, Ron. Both of those guys can play away from the basket.
Rogers got caught in midair, then it's stolen back, and on the return shot, it's going to be tie ball. Possession error says we'll stay right here at this basket.
And I'll tell you what, if you're going to go against Amari Carroll, you better bring your hard hat and your lunch pail, because this guy battles. 50-year senior.
Well, tomorrow they're going to bring him out of the ball game to get a little rest, and coming in, number 15, Keith Ramsey.
Young man from Okaloosa Walton Junior College. You mentioned Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Right outside of Nashville, site of a big Civil War battle, by the way.
And also, what, Middle Tennessee is.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee is in Murfreesboro. That's exactly right. The Blue Raiders, coached by Kermit Davis.
Quick release on that shot, and then nothing but the cord and then on to the floor.
There's that Waco phone book set shot, because he can't elevate over that phone book. But he's got a beautiful release.
Well, out of double figures, it's now an 8-point lead, 48-40. Going under 14 minutes to play. Lacedarius Dunn.
Now, if you're Baylor right now, you got to throw caution to the wind.
Matt Lawrence. And here's his senior. All these young guys want this thing. Nobody wants it any more than that man does. He said, hey, I want to leave my mark. He's got 3 threes in the ball game.
See how Missouri, Ron, they can switch on every ball screen because all 5 players move their feet really well. See Ramsey out here guarding Dugat. I think Ramsey tipped that in.
Well, he may have. Because
it was going in anyway, but Ramsey gave it a push.
51-42, Missouri. Now we go under 13 minutes, and that clock is really beginning to move in a hurry if you are for the Baylor Bears. Leo Lyons, that one well short. That one barely drew iron.
That's one of those we're up 9 shots. I can take it.
Dugat.
Oh, they got him. They got him.
Nice pump. Got his own follow, and he'll go to the line for a couple. Missed the follow shot, but he'll go to the line for 2. Well, let's take a look at our Infinity What to Watch For.
Well, and there you see tonight Syracuse, Johnny Flynn with the heroic performances the last couple nights. And Louisville, Ron, a team that actually I have in my Final Four going back to October. Rick Pitino always seems to have his team ready for NCAA play. Terrence Williams had a great year. Should be a great final.
So all of you out there, don't forget, log on to ESPN.com, and the key word is infinity.
I don't know about you, but I get the feeling that Lacedarius Dunn has a run in him. You know? He's got that ability to shoot the three, go to the rim.
We talk about Matt Lawrence, and Darius has that same kind of capacity. That ball partially blocked. Miguel Paul missed it, and now we got another foul on the Missouri Tigers, and that's going to be 2 against Paul.
You could just tell Missouri was sped up on that possession. Remember, they're at their best when all 5 players touch the ball in that motion offense. Now think about this. You got 4 non-starters out there for Missouri right now. Yep.
Quick out pass. Tillard left all alone. Darius Dunn comes away with it.
I'm not sure Missouri wants to play this quickly right now. Their speed, Ron, is and their easy baskets come off their defense and not quick shots in their offense. I think they're trying to figure out whether to go inside to Rogers or not.
Rogers, great strength and body control. Most players would have had that knocked out of his hand.
Well, they got him. They were waiting to get him in an ISO, and he took advantage of it. Watch the quickness, Ron. To the rim, it'll hang. And Baylor's still in it.
Kim Mulkey loves it. Okay, Ron, thanks so much. Baylor trying to get back in this thing. They were down by double digits just a moment ago. It is now a 5-point margin, 51-46.
At least to this point, Ron, fatigue has not been a factor for Baylor. They've hung in there. 4th game in 4 days against a rested Missouri team that plays 10 players.
Now this is English, who got that rebound, and a big miss. 11 and a half minutes left in our ball game.
Baylor's gone man-to-man. Let's see how long they stay with this.
Championship week continues on ESPN tomorrow afternoon. It's number 22 Florida State meeting number 8 Duke in the ACC Championship. ACC Championship, a part of Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN tomorrow, 1 o'clock. And a reminder, the ACC Championship is subject to blackout in some ACC markets.
Duke's looking like they're solidifying.
And Holly, let's go. She's up there with a friend of ours.
Well, I am here with the Baylor women's coach, Kim Mulkey. They are ranked 7th in the country, 26-5, and you are in the Big 12 championship game tomorrow. I think, everybody's wondering about the bracket and seeding. How do you feel like you're in position right now for a possible number 1 seed?
Well, Holly, I think we have to be in the mix. I think when you look at our conference, we've got the highest RPI in the country, or it's been said that we do. We finished 2nd in the league. We're playing in the championship. It doesn't matter who wins that game tomorrow. I still say that Baylor and Oklahoma should get the 2 top seeds because of what we've done all year long.
You are playing A&M in the championship game tomorrow. You beat them twice in the regular season. That old adage, hard to beat them 3 times. What's your formula?
Well, it is hard to beat somebody 3 times. In the both games that we played, it was down to the wire, and we know each other very well. And we're both going to postseason. We're just going to sit and wait on Monday to see where we go and what our seeding will be.
You've been through the rebuilding process with the men on their side. What would you say about the job Scott Drew and this team has done?
Well, let me tell you, we rebuilt our program, and Scott had a harder job than I did because he inherited a program that was in trouble with the NCAA. They couldn't even play non-conference games. I'm so proud of these guys, and the story that needs to be written about this bunch is they have an opportunity to win 4 games in 4 days. The first time in the history of Baylor basketball that both the men and women are playing in the championship the same year.
All right. Well, it's a good day for the Baylor Bears. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
Okay, Holly, thanks so much, and that's a great point to be made, and people lose sight of that. In any conference in America, for both the men's and the women's teams to be playing for the conference championship, that's really hard to do.
Well, not only that, Ron, but it should be pointed out that this guy right here had maybe the hardest rebuilding job in the last 25 years in college basketball. That program was at death's door, and that's not a pun intended. Obviously, the tragedy of Patrick Dennehy, the murder, the NCAA probation, and they went to the NCAAs a year ago, and they've got this program back on track. Hadn't been a great regular season, but what a job Scott Drew has done.
Well, we talked about it, almost like the tale of 3 different seasons. Winning 12 and losing 2 non-conference, opening the conference with a 3-1 record, and then just inexplicably lost 10 of their next 12 ball games. And then to come here to Oklahoma City and really turn it on. Away from the ball, John Higgins has called a foul.
Earlier the season right there for Scott Drew. If you'd have told a Baylor alum or fan 5 years ago that they would be in the NCAA tournament and then in the Big 12 final, they would have taken that, despite the fact that it hadn't been the most satisfactory regular season.
Taylor back in the ball game, who picked up his 3rd foul just a while ago. Amari Carroll.
That's where he's really improved. NBA scouts told him last year, go back, work on your ball handling, work on that perimeter shot. He went back to school, and he has been a catalyst for a team that's on its way to the NCAA tournament.
This is Gerald's handling. Gerald's picked up the foul a moment ago. It's only his 1st, though.
It's like a little matchup zone right now by Missouri. With a help by Ramsey.
Skip pass, left all alone, and short on the shot. Dugat had an opportunity and couldn't get it in the crosshair. Meanwhile,
a little floater.
Zaire Taylor, this is the largest lead of the ball game, 59-46, 13 points. And a timeout. 59-46. We'll be right back.
The Missouri Tigers have opened up a 13-point lead in the second half. And Ron Franklin, the ball movement's been outstanding for the most part. Amari Carroll, one of the most underrated players in the country, the 5th-year senior. And how about this guy? If you're a basketball junkie, you know that Zaire Taylor transferred from Delaware to play in this fastest 40 minutes of basketball for Mike Anderson. What a job he's done in this tournament.
It'll take you very long to find out from the players what they think about Mike Anderson as a coach and his style of play.
He's like a father figure, too, as well, Ron. Yeah. Very disciplinarian off the court. They graduate. He graduated 7 players last year.
Gerald's 5 seconds on the shot clock, a little short, tipped back, and it came back to Dugat.
He can't do that. He passed the ball to himself.
Dugat pulls up and swishes it.
I was talking to the Missouri coaches, Ron, and they said, in recruiting, we're not going to get many McDonald's All-Americans because not a lot of McDonald's All-Americans want to sacrifice and play the way Missouri plays. Everybody thinks they want to play fast, but they don't understand the discipline it takes.
Well, as you can see, Bader back in that 2-3 zone.
See the ball movement. When everybody touches it, they get good looks.
English, unlucky. That thing did everything but go down.
Oh, he didn't have good English on it.
Let's see if Taylor has good English on it. No, he didn't either. About to go into 7 minutes left in our championship. They're not there.
Yep, they're just not dropping, and that's what they needed, Baylor.
Carroll at the other end. And also, when you start seeing shots, you lectured me about this.
Yes.
Those short shots, it's fatigue. Legs are not what they were at the beginning of the game.
Absolutely. We saw that with Oklahoma State last night. They missed their first 14 threes. See, right now, they're between a rock and a hard place because they're going to have to shoot a lot of threes.
Well, there are bodies everywhere. As Mamadou Gien went down. Underneath him was Dugat. 61-48, Missouri Tigers. Okay, Ryan, 6:45 is all we have left in this ballgame. It has flown by, and Missouri has just lengthened that lead again, 61-48. Rand, what do you do if you're Baylor?
Well, you got to make some threes, Ron. You got to kind of throw caution to the wind, as I mentioned earlier, and they're capable of doing it. You can't give up those easy baskets they've given up in the second half, but we knew this would be a possibility because of the way Missouri plays. Fresh legs, 10 bodies, running in and out, take advantage of quick shots and turnovers.
Well, don't forget tonight on ESPN, I know I'm going to be in front of the television, the Syracuse Orangemen.
Oh, yeah,
the overtime Orangemen.
You've been talking about that all day.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think this ought to be a really good ball game.
And the pupil and the mentor,
yeah,
Patino, graduate assistant to Jim Boeheim. Jim Boeheim made him leave his honeymoon to go recruiting, or the story goes.
Leo Lyons.
Yes, sir.
Now it is beginning to look easier and easier for the Bears. That's a 15-point margin, and we're about to go into 6 minutes.
You remember they've been outscoring their first two opponents by 15 plus in each of the second halves. This guy won't go away. Curtis Jarrell's a senior from your neck of the woods, Ron, Austin, Texas. He came to Baylor when the program was at its lowest depths, and he, Kevin Rogers, Mamadou Gien, Henry Dugat have gotten them back into one NCAA tournament, and if they don't win today, I think they're going to be very likely playing in the NIT next week. This is a team that's got wins over Arizona State, who's about to win the Pac-10, Providence, Washington State.
Gerald swishes that one, played his high school basketball at Bell Valley, which is right down by the airport it is. In Austin, I should explain. Well, in the second half, Baylor only 26%, Missouri 59%.
We haven't said much, Ron. We haven't shilled very much for the Big 12 this year. Let the numbers speak for themselves, but this is the third highest RPI conference in college basketball. 8 teams with 20 wins. Looks like we're going to have at least 9 of the 12 in postseason play.
Jones got it.
That's what he does. Anthony Jones, the freshman from Houston Jones High School.
To show you he can shoot the three, but he's only been to the free throw line 8 times on the season because he's not a creator, so to speak. I started thinking, you know, of Harris in the ball game yesterday in the women's tournament. She had more trips to the free throw line in the first half than he's had on the season.
Isn't that amazing? Well, he's going to put some weight on, but there you go. Look at that. 6 teams in the RPI top 38. 8 teams with 8 conference wins or more. Been a great season in the Big 12. It's been an underrated league.
And just a reminder, following tonight's Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship game, you can log on to Big12Sports.com for continued coverage of the trophy presentation as well as post-game pressers.
And we won't see this guy for the next few years, Ron, because Dan Beebe will be
basketball committee.
That's right. He's going to be a part of the basketball committee. And
when you say we won't see him, at this tournament, that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah,
he will be at the Westin in Indianapolis with that Sunday bar. Right now, I know Mike Slive and the basketball committee are taking in all these games, and boy, do they have a lot of things to factor in the next 24 hours.
Lions put it up too hard and went right over the top. Is that going to be Gerald's? What a reminder, it's the day you've been waiting for, Selection Sunday. Find out who's in and whose bubble has burst. First at 6 o'clock Eastern, Sports Center is going to have wall-to-wall coverage of the brackets. Then at 7 o'clock, our experts are going to break down For 2 hours, you're going to break down on ESPNU bracketology. So, of course, Selection Sunday on ESPN starts at 6 o'clock Eastern Time.
Ron, never diminish the importance of those men and women on that basketball committee, because there are going to be some very good teams left out of this field of 65. And we're talking about young men whose careers are going to come to an end and not get a chance to play in this year's tournament. So they really have their work cut out, and they work 12 months a year at
Well, I
it.
started to say that the one thing that people don't understand about the committee is there are people who want to scream every year, well, this team was robbed, or that they didn't consider. They consider everything. Trust me.
They do.
And if there's anybody on a committee when his team comes up, his or her team comes up, they got to leave the room. They cannot even be there to create prejudice situations.
That's exactly right.
That's how careful they are.
There are going to be some good teams left out. There's no question about it.
Lions, the ball was tipped, going to be stolen. Dugat, and Lawrence will pick up the foul.
Nice job by Henry Dugat creating that contact. And if you're Missouri right now, you got to make sure you take care of the basketball, because Baylor can make up an 11-point deficit very quickly.
Matt Lawrence, his first foul. Matt's got 11 points in this ball game today. One of 3 people in double figures for the Tigers. Carroll with 20 and 10 for Leo Lyons. 14 points for Geralds and 11 for Lacedarius Dunn.
I want to share with people, if they hadn't heard what Bill Self said at the press conference after losing to Baylor, he was very honest. He said, we're going back to campus tomorrow. We're going to walk. We're going to go to classes so all of the fellow students can ask you why you're back here so early. And then we're going to have 2 of the hardest days of practice these kids have ever had. So watch out for KU in the NCAA tournament.
Ball tipped and comes right up here in our area. Way to go, Big E. Good hands. Good thing it didn't come a little further this way, because then it would have been my bad hands.
I had you covered, Ron.
Yeah, you were under the table.
I had you covered. If I had to jump up and save you, I would have done that. You know that.
I'm seeing your vertical leap.
Oh, man.
From a sitting position, I don't know about that, Fred.
Hey, this is danger zone right now for Missouri. They've got to take care of the basketball and get some good shots.
Just gone under 4.5 minutes left in the championship. That's Scoop not there. Here's Carroll. Carroll was fouled, and he is going to go to the free throw line. It looks like Gerald's. He's going to be called for the foul.
Well, Kim Mulkey didn't like this, but watch Carroll get to the rim, and you know what? I think the Baylor fans have an argument here. Those 2 feet are established in legal guarding position before Carroll leaves his feet.
That's Lacedarius Dunn, I beg your pardon, and he has 4.
And this is where even the officials, who you'll agree, I think, have done a great job today. Every play matters. Missouri is going to the NCAA tournament, but it's important now that every play is officiated as well as possible. These Baylor kids are playing for the NCAA Lions.
Stolen, and Geralds has just picked up the foul on the run out, J.T. Tiller. And that's the 4th now on Geralds. Ron Franklin, Fran Fraschilla, Holly Rowe coming to you from the Ford Center in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It's the Big 12 title game between the Missouri Tigers and the Baylor Bears. Should either team, or whichever team wins this championship, it'll be the first for them in the Big 12 conference. And for people to say, well, of course, in the Big 8, yes, in the Big 8 conference, 8 times Missouri went to the title game, and they won 6 of those.
I don't know if Storm and Norman is in Columbia or out in Palm Springs, but I know Norm Stewart, when we talked to him in February, he was really proud of this Mike Anderson club and how hard they played. That was, you know Norm as well as anybody, Ron, how hard those Missouri Tigers have played through the years.
That's for sure. He set the standard on being a hard-nosed group, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
67-56. Under 4 minutes to play now.
this is where Missouri is good. They don't turn the ball over, and they run this 5-man motion. Everybody gets a piece of it.
Shot clock is at 4, down to 3, and that's going to be a travel. So the ball goes back to the Baylor Bears, and we have a timeout. 3.5 minutes left for the Bears. Can they come back? Can they close the gap of 11 points? We'll find out. Thanks very much. Our situation, 3:31 remaining, 67-56. You look at Mike Anderson down on the floor and sitting up just right back behind him. His wife, Marshita, and Yvonne. We'll get a shot of them in just a second as we have gone back to play. Yvonne plays for the University of Texas women's team, and they were eliminated from play yesterday. She stuck around here in Oklahoma City to be with her family and see if her dad could capture a championship here today. Shot clock is at 12. Good God.
Oh, how about that? Littlest guy on the floor, Ron. He's got a 40-inch vertical jump. The threes haven't been falling for him, but he's played very courageously.
And how about these numbers? 17 assists on 23 field goals and only 10 turnovers for the Missouri Tigers.
It speaks to exactly the way Mike Anderson wants to play. People think because of the frenetic defense that they play that way on offense, and it couldn't be further from the truth. It's a very good ball control team in the half court.
There's Marshita Anderson on the right, and that's Yvonne there to the left.
Yvonne, highly recruited, right? Yep. She chose Gail Gestencourt, the Longhorns.
And in fact, one of the games about, 4 or 5 weeks ago, she got her nose broken. And in fact, didn't tell anybody on the training staff that she thought it was broken until the next day. And Mike Story said, yes, it's pretty tough. It's more than pretty tough. That's going to be a foul called against Missouri's Lawrence Bowers. Coming up next, College Game Day driven by State Farm, then followed by the Big East Championship. Number 20, Syracuse, and number 5, Louisville. And I'm surprised that Syracuse is involved, that we don't have an overtime on this program. I'll tell you what, they have really been fun. 6 overtimes day before yesterday, and then one last night.
Well, you remember a couple of years ago, Jerry McNamara, they had to win 4 straight games to get into the tournament. And so Jim Boeheim is a guy that has plenty of postseason tournament success, needless to say. Hall of Fame.
That'll be a fun game to watch tonight. You got a favorite?
Boy, I don't know. You know, Louisville will be fresher, but Syracuse seems like they're destined, and I love Johnny Flynn. You know how I feel about him.
Yep.
President of that fan club.
And we're under 2 minutes to play. The Missouri Tigers, 67-58. They're on the verge. They don't have it done yet, but they're getting closer by the second. Here's Taylor back out in the wing. And Lawrence is off the mark. The tip wouldn't go. And as they battle for it inside, timeout is called by Missouri. 30-second Well, the Baylor Bears trying to join this list right here of people of 4 wins in 4 days.
Yeah, but we know this is wrong, right? Because we know Georgia did it in 3 days.
3 days. Or was it 2.5? Yeah, it was incredible the way, because of the storm that hit the Atlanta area.
It was supposed to be 4 days. It turned out to be 2.5, 3 days for Dennis Felton's team who won it last year in the SEC.
Let me ask you this.
Yes,
a trivia question for you.
Sure.
We were talking about Syracuse. You know, what would Baylor have in common with the Syracuse Orangemen if they were to win this ball game today?
You know, well, other than winning it in 4 days, I'm stumped, so tell me.
No, you know, because we've already... Actually, Syracuse beat 4 Big 12 teams.
That's right.
Using a zone defense
in the NCAA tournament.
To win the NCAA tournament. And for 4 days, it has been Baylor using a zone defense.
That's right.
And nobody thought they'd get by the first game with it.
That was the year that Syracuse in 2003 not only won the NCAA title, they won the Big 12. because of the 4 wins over Big 12 schools.
Yeah, that's the truth. And the next year, more people in the Big 12 Conference started using the zone. Well, Championship Week continues on ESPN tomorrow. And you see right there, number 22, Florida State taking on number 8, Duke. That's at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Championship Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. And keep an eye, remember, ACC Championship is subject to blackout in ACC markets. Ball tipped, almost tipped it right back in Tiller's face. Lions scores and he'll go to the line.
Those are just hustle baskets now. You see the fatigue on that free throw. Lions moved quicker than anybody in the green jerseys. There's the miss. Even Tiller knew it was short. And Lions powers that ball through. And the Andersons are loving it.
4th foul on Kevin Rogers.
You know, Ron, we know this. We know the programs of this league so well. There were some people that weren't necessarily excited about Mike Anderson coming to Columbia. Names like Bobby Huggins, John Calipari, great coaches. But what a job Mike Anderson has done.
Left in the championship. Missouri with a 12-point margin. Mike Anderson, he's not going to celebrate yet, but that's getting close to being a smile on his face, and there should be one.
Well, he's a serious guy. There's no doubt about it. And what a great job he's done. 16 wins last year. They lost 7 players. They suspended a number of guys. Keon Lawrence, who didn't really fit in with the team-oriented style, transferred to Seton Hall, a prolific scorer. And Ron, not one of these guys on this program were heavily recruited. No McDonald's All-American.
Well, as we mentioned, Safford was the only scholarship player 2 years ago, and then last year was when Mike really got to bring his own kids, and really brought in 7 new faces.
And they're all good role players, no great players, really. All really solid players.
Out on the break, here's Taylor at the other end, and Taylor was fouled. 43.1 seconds left in the ball game.
Zaire Taylor started his first 2 years at the University of Delaware. He was all Colonial Conference Athletic Association Rookie League, led the league in steals. You mentioned it many times this year, Ron. Wanted to change a venue, wanted a style of play. Absolutely.
Yeah. The man that he loved to watch and learn from is very brilliant.
And you know, it's interesting, and no disrespect to anybody who follows basketball or who talks about it like we do. But very few people in the country know this guy and know that he's got 2 game winners over Kansas and Texas. JT Tiller was somewhat under-recruited.
All the way, and Gerald's misses. Right now, there's just like 0.2 of a second between the shot clock and the game clock. The crowd is beginning to stand, and the Tiger fans about to start loving this.
And before we get off the air, Ron, let's throw Baylor some kudos.
You betcha.
4 days, 4 games.
And as we told you, it is the first Big 12 championship for the Missouri Tigers. They won 6 times in the Big 8, but it's the first time in the newly formed Big 12 Conference, and the celebration begins. Let's check in with Holly Rowe. Holly.
Mike Anderson here, and Coach, your first championship at Missouri. At what point in this game did you feel like the wear and tear finally had to get the win?
I thought when we came out the first 5 minutes of the second half, you could just see it. They went to the free throw lines. They were short on the free throws. You could just see our guys got a little bit more aggressive. I'll tell you what, it's what a great effort by our guys.
It's almost impossible if you really look at this. 7 newcomers to this team. How did you mold a championship team so quickly with all these new faces?
I think between my coaching staff, I got a great coaching staff in Melvin Watkins, T.J. Cleveland, and Matt Zimmerman. But not only that, I think the older guys, I think DeMarais Carroll, Leo Lyons, Matt Lawrence, Michael Anderson Jr., they all show leadership, and those guys follow suit.
All right, well, here's one of your leaders right here. DeMarais, for you as a senior, you guys had to buy into this system of your coach. How do you feel like it helped you win this championship tonight?
Well, first I want to give glory to God, because without him I wouldn't be here. But, we just came out defensively. Coach, he really stressed defense this whole tournament, and we came out with defense. And, defense win championships, as you can see.
Even though you guys were up at one point 11 points, Coach was still in the huddle yelling at people for not hustling more. How does him staying on you help you reach this championship level?
We got mentally strong guys. You got guys like Zaire, JT, mentally strong from the guard point. Then you got guys coming off the bench like Keith and Justin and so on. So, we just got a good group of guys, and I just feel happy. I'm out of words, and it's just a blessing to be here.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Holly Rowe, thanks so much. Our final score again, the Missouri Tigers win their first Big 12 basketball tournament, 73-60. Up next on ESPN, College Game Day, driven by State Farm. And that's followed by the Big East Championship, Syracuse taking on Louisville. A reminder, for more on this game, tune into ESPN News for a post-game extra. I'm Ron Franklin for Fran Fraschilla and Holly Rowe and our entire crew. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. It's the Tigers wearing the crown. So long, everybody, from Oklahoma City.